Hey guys, it's Imran here, and today we're going to go over the meeting that took place on September 18th, 2019. And first, for the announcements, we did not have any announcements for that day. And for our agenda, we have stocks, compound interest. And today we will learn about compound interest and see how it can accelerate the value of your portfolio exponentially. This is the fourth meeting of the year. So that being said, stocks, part 4, compound interest. So, what is compound interest? So, compound interest is a way of investing in which you invest interest received along with the original principal in order to make your principal and interest gain more interest. So basically, let's say the first year you decided to invest 100 and zero $100.00, right? And then the next year you ended up turning that $100 into $130. So this year now what you would do is, instead of just taking out that $30, you would invest the entire $130. And compound interest helps you make money faster because instead of taking out your profits, you're investing them, just as we've mentioned with the $100 analogy. So, as we said, compound interest results in exponential growth. And this is only achievable if you reinvest profits and avoid taking out any amount of money from your portfolio. So, as we've mentioned, when you invest and make a return, what you want to do with that excess money that you have aside from the principal is reinvest it along with the principal so you make more money and get this exponential growth that we see on the graph here. And another way you can speed up the process is by investing dividends, which we discussed was the amount of money given to shareholders into a stock of your choice. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be the same exact stock, but as long as you guys invest any earnings that you make from investing, then you guys can get that exponential growth. And so I want to talk about why compound interest is important. Its importance. So compound interest is important because it allows you to make more money. By using compound interest, you are maximizing your profit potential. So think about it, right? When you make a bit of money in the stock market, right? And instead of taking it out to buy something, you just keep on reinvesting it. You're making more money because you have more money to invest instead of just spending what you started out with. And compound interest is also important because it allows you to think long term and thus make better decisions over time. So, especially in the stock market, you want to think long term instead of short term because no one can predict what's going to happen a month from now, a year from now, or even 2 years from now. But once you start thinking 5 years from now or 10 years from now, that's when you make the best decisions. You make better decisions over time. And in essence, compound interest helps you make significant gains in the stock market because we get that exponential growth. So, how to measure compound interest? So, one of the main ways that you can measure how much you can make from compound interest is by using a compound interest calculator. And as you can see right here, we have a compound interest calculator, and what you would do is you would put your current principal, and this would be the amount of money you're starting with, you would put that right there, and then your annual addition, so how much money are you going to put in per year into your portfolio, you would put that right here, and then how many years to grow, which means how many years would you leave the money inside your account in without taking a single cent, and what interest rate would you get, or what the return on your investment would be per year, and you would plug that in right here. And compound interest you would do one time annually and make additions at the start of the compounding period, and then you can click the calculate button, and then your future value will pop up right here. And you can find these type of calculators online. It's very simple. This tells you basically how much money you can make a certain amount of years from today through compound interest, because this entire calculation, right, is based on if you invest X amount of dollars for X amount of years without taking out a single cent and get an X amount of return, how much money will you end up with in the future, right? So that's basically how you can measure compound interest. And time is a very important aspect in compound interest. So time is key with compound interest because the earlier you start, the quicker you can make more money. So think about it. If you start early with compound interest, right, you'll have more time to see your money compounding and gain more returns rather than if you're like an older person, for example, you wouldn't really be able to enjoy the money that you would make. So it's very important to, start at an early age so that you can get massive returns without having to wait for a long time. And the power of compound interest. So from the calculator that we had earlier, I sort of just made my own scenario, if you would look at it here. And you can see the current principal was $0, so we start out with nothing, and an annual addition of $1,200, which means that you would basically invest $100 a month, and you give it 30 years to grow at a 20% interest rate or return on investment, and you compound it one time annually at the end of each compounding period. And when you calculate it, you can see that you would end up with $1,418,257.88, which is just tremendous from investing only $100 a month. Now, compound interest, right? Your money makes more money for you, as we've discussed. And it has the power to provide you with financial freedom for a long period of time, right? Since that exponential growth is going to make you a tremendous amount of money. And compound interest is one of the smartest ways to invest because you think long term instead of short term, as we've discussed earlier. And right here, I have a graph comparing linear growth, the green bar right here, and exponential growth, which is the blue bar, which is the blue line right here, rather. And you can see that as time passes by, the linear, you start to lose money if you choose the linear path, because the linear path represents the money you make when you just take out your profits and just reinvest the principal. And as you can see, the y-axis for value, right? The exponential growth is rising and rising and rising over time, while the linear growth is just rising at a constant rate over time. So this basically represents the amount of money that you'll be missing out on if you choose to take out your profits, right? Because they intersect right here, and every single line above this, every single dot that represents the value would represent all the money that you're missing out on. And it is not a good situation to be in, because probably what you would make in one day from exponential growth will take you probably 10 years with linear growth. And it's just insane how big the difference is. And that being said, we did take questions, and we did up to 2 questions per person. And a quick recap. So we now know that compounding interest is a way of investing in which you invest interest received along with the original principal in order to make your principal and interest gain interest. So your principal along with the profit you made makes more profit. Compound interest results in exponential growth. Compound interest helps you make significant gains in the stock market because of exponential growth. And time is key with compound interest because the earlier you start, the quicker you can make more money. Thanks for your participation.